Over 100 games are being released this month, and I went through all of them. Because where others might give you their favorites, I want to give you all the games. You can imagine things got a bit delayed because of that. More on that later. But let me tell you now, it's still relevant. So here's the Nintendo release roundup of July 2024. Please note, at the end of the video I will inform you of a few delayed games that should have been released this month. 33 games are in this roundup. These games did not make the cut, cause they are digital only and I can't present all of them here of course. But please let me know if you would like me to make a separate video presenting eShop only games each month. Cause there are some interesting games in there that sadly I cannot present to you now. Please let me know. Starting off with Taboo Trial, that came out on the 4th of July on the eShops of Europe, Australia and North America. Don't expect a AAA game, just expect fast, colorful action that may be repetitive but very well be satisfying. What made me include this is the fact that the physical edition, called Twilight Edition, will be released in the US next month on the 8th. That edition contains the 4 outfit DLCs. So in case you're interested in this game, labeled an action RPG, be aware of the physical release coming. And at the same time, I should add, I could only find it at the PlayAsia store to order. If you, like me, have a weakness for Lovecraftian horror, perhaps Cthulhu Tower may catch your attention. And that's why I'm including it here. Not as a recommendation, but as a slight warning. Lovecraft excels at the fear of the unknown. Now a tower defense game where you control the monsters, that's not fearing the unknown, now is it? But it can still be fun. So if you're curious, it's been out on the eShop since the 28th of June in Europe and Australia and the 5th of July in North America. Over the years more and more trail games have been released on the Switch and The Legend of Heroes Trails Through Daybreak is the latest of them. Released on the 5th of July in Europe, North America and Australia. It's part of an impressive RPG series that I personally feel attracted to, and from what I can find, this game is potentially a very good entry point. And with Trails Through Daybreak 2 announced for the Switch for next year, perhaps that piques your interest even more so. And if you do, there are multiple physical releases to consider. The US limited edition was available on the NIS US store, but is unfortunately already sold out, yet still available in the UK and EU NIS stores. It contains the Deluxe edition, a mini art book, the digital soundtrack and the soundtrack on CD, a 240 plus page Trails Uncovered art book, a steelbook, a business card case, a movie poster card set, and that all comes in a collector's box. You may wonder what the Deluxe edition is then, and you can find that one on the UK NAS store. And that basically contains the digital soundtrack and the mini art book, which was already mentioned in the limited edition. The Deluxe edition is usually also found in game stores. Lastly, the UK and Europe NAS stores also have a limited edition plushie bundle, which, surprise surprise, contains a limited edition with a plushie, or actually 2, packed separately. Links to the NAS store's product pages can be found in the description. A totally different looking RPG is Born of Bread. Much more lighthearted, much more humorous, just as you could expect from a title like this. Released already on December 5th last year on the eShop of Europe, North America and December 6th in Australia, Pix and Love is now giving this 2 physical releases. The Deluxe edition can be pre-ordered from Pix and Love and contains the game with a reversible cover, a certificate of authenticity numbered to 350 copies, a 80-page art book, the soundtrack on vinyl, 4 lithographs, and that all in a premium box. This edition will be released in Q4 of this year, but if you don't want to wait that long, you could opt for the first edition from Pix and Love that came out on the 5th of July, which has a reversible cover and is also limited in stock. A standard copy should be out in stores across Europe as well. Now if you're American, Red Art Games should come with a US release, but when is yet to be announced. An indie world title from last year, though with just a very short highlight, Chants of Sennaar went physical in the US on July 9. The puzzle and exploration adventure is already out on the eShops of Europe and North America since September 5th, 2023 and September 6th, 2023 in Australia. So you can check the reviews to see if this is something for you. I'm not really into flight combat sims, but even I can appreciate how good Ace Combat 7 Skies Unknown looks. With the game already out for years on different systems, reviews are good, but I would have expected better from the looks of the gameplay trailer. How good it will be on the Switch can be discovered from July 11 when the Deluxe edition is released, which contains a season pass with 3 planes, 3 missions and a music player mode and 8 emblems. The releases are a bit wonky. It should come to the eShop on the 11th, in the US and I assume Canada, but so far I cannot confirm it. A physical release will also be available on the same day in Europe and on the 12th in Australia. Something you want to keep an eye out for when interested, cause this is typically a situation where the dates can change and I can definitely see a potential US physical release as well. Would you be interested in a free game? You probably think it has to be a gacha game then. And you're right! Bleach Brave Souls is available on the European, Australian and North American eShops from the 11th of July. And sure, it remains a gacha game, but it's Bleach, it's free, and going by reviews, pretty decent. So there's this game that came out in 1991 and now on July 11 you can play it on your Switch. Parasol stars The Story of Bobble free will be available on the eShops of North America, Australia and Europe. But perhaps you want a physical edition. Well, true to the original, it's a European release. And in this case by Strictly Limited Games. But fortunately they do ship worldwide. 2 different editions are released, starting with the limited edition, which basically is just a physical game with a manual. The special limited edition contains that limited edition, a retro style game guide and the original soundtrack on CD, all contained in a special limited edition box. The limited edition is expected to ship in October, the special limited edition in October or November. Links to both can be found in the description below. Can you guess who is behind the game Nocturnal? Sunnyside Games. Yeah, I thought that was funny. The game caught my eye with its flaming sword action. And since it's already out on several platforms, including the European and North American eShops since June 7, 2023 and June 8, 2023 in Australia, I could have a look at some reviews. Without going into detail, it's considered a solid platformer with good mechanics, but it's on the short side. I did see that a sequel is in the works for Steam, and who knows for what in the future. All things you may consider if you want to open up your wallet for a physical edition from Pix and Love. If a standard copy is what you care about, you can go for the first edition with a reversible cover and is set to release on July 12th. Going bigger though, you can also pick the collector's edition, which also comes with a reversible cover, a certificate of authenticity numbered to 500 copies, a 64-page art book with exclusive interviews of the developers, the soundtrack on CD, 3 lithographs and a cardboard sleeve. You will have to wait a bit longer for this one, it's set to release in September. Links to these can be found in the description of the video. Closing off, I did see a physical release is planned by Red Art Games for the US on September 30th, however I cannot confirm that right now. Okay, so let's do this one real quick. B-Project Ryuusei Fantasia is a visual novel about J-pop boy bands. Still here? Right, so on the 15th of July it's getting a release on the European, Australian and North American eShops, but both Europe and the US, probably Canada too, will get a physical release by P-Cube, which generally have their preferred retailers. I once heard that Darkest Dungeon was a surprisingly good and dark roguelike RPG with a unique style. So when last Nintendo Direct announced Darkest Dungeon 2 for the Switch, it was a must for a release roundup like this. As of right now, only eShop releases are announced for both Europe and North America on July 15 and Australia on July 16. The DLC The Blinding Blade is set to release alongside the game on all those stores. Please note there's also the Oblivion edition, which you can only find on the eShops in North America and Australia when you search for Oblivion edition, which has the DLC bundled in. Also, the first game did go physical, and though it's hard to say, but you never know if they will do the same with the sequel. If school wasn't your best experience, you can now design it the way you would have wanted it to be in Let's School. It's probably more limited than that, but casual games have their attraction. It comes out on July 16th on the eShops of Europe, Australia and North America, with a physical release planned for later, September 10, for the US. After a cancellation a few years ago, Deliver Us the Moon is now finally coming to the Switch on July 16. Unfortunately, no physical releases are planned this time. Just look for it on the European, Australian or North American eShops. And a small shout out to the developer of this sci-fi thriller, Kyoken Interactive, as they are Dutch and I'm feeling patriotic. Hot Lap Racing is a racing game. Shocking, I know. It has a variety of cars to race with from several decades, different categories and over a decent amount of tracks with multiple layouts. Worth a go? Well, it releases on July 16 on the European and North American eShops, and those regions also get a physical release on the same day. And Australia seems to have to do with just an eShop release on the 17th. It's worth mentioning that this game, though then also available on Steam, will only release for the Switch from all the consoles, which Nintendo fans should be able to appreciate. Anyone else looking for monkeys in those rolling balls? After Marble It Up, developer Marble It Up now brings Marble It Up Ultra to the Switch. I'm losing my marbles. It's actually already on the eShop since August 17 in Europe, Australia and North America, but the physical edition will be released on the 16th for the US and Canada. And I can joke all I want, the game is appreciated and it's not a gaming genre with tons of releases. And another game that's getting a physical release on the 16th in the US and Canada, Super Alloy Ranger. It's a 2D pixel art action platformer featuring robots. So as an old school Mega Man fan, I'm rooting for this release. Unfortunately, no European physical release is planned. So for me, only the option of the eShop remains, where it was released already last year on April 28 for Europe, Australia and North America. Indie world titles should always get some attention, especially if it involves a Turtles game, one of my childhood passions. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Splintered Fate is a Nickelodeon Turtles game, which in my opinion is just not the best kind of Turtles. I'm an 80s kid, so bite me. Still, it was well received on the Apple Arcade, which may well lower your expectation at the same time really, but going by the Indie World presentation, worthy of your attention if you're into fighting adventures. On July 17, it becomes available on the European, Australian and North American eShops. Even here in Europe, we knew about the Nintendo World Championships, which was still just a national competition. Oh, you Americans. Yet my point is, there's a high sentimental value to releasing Nintendo World Championships NES edition. So, smart move Nintendo. Now if you're just going for playing the minigame challenges, the eShop offers the standard edition for Europe and North America. But it makes so much sense to me if you want to collect the physical edition, a My Nintendo Store exclusive that will probably be sold out everywhere by now, which is the Deluxe edition for those regions. It has the physical game, the non-playable gold-colored NES game pack, 13 art cards and 5 pins all in a collector's box. I feel sorry for Australia, they only get a physical standard release, so no deluxe edition. For all releases, they come out on July 18. Part of the Nintendo Indie World of April, on July 18th, SCHiM will be available on the eShop of Europe, North America and Australia. Categorized as a platformer, seeing the trailer and knowing you have to jump from shadow to shadow, platformer just doesn't cover it. The game is made by Dutch Ewout van der Werf, so a shout out to him as I'm having another patriotic moment. The original of The Oregon Trial is nearly 40 years old. Perhaps that's why this game seems to give off such a unique vibe. The strategic management game of the 19th century Wild West has been available on the eShop in Europe, North America and Australia since November 14th, 2022. It feels modern and, in hindsight, also offers that retro feeling. On July 18, a physical edition is released for North America and Europe, called Deluxe Edition, which includes the Cowboys and Critters DLC, and physically includes the game with a reversible cover and 3 reversible Now and Then art cards. Should be said, the European release seems to be an Amazon exclusive. If Apex Heroines looks familiar, perhaps you're thinking of Taboo Trial, which started off this release roundup. Well, it's from the same devs who just pumped out 2 similar games to release around the same time. And still, just like the other game, Apex Heroines looks fun. So I will repeat myself, don't expect a AAA game, just expect fun, colorful action that may be repetitive but very well be satisfying. The eShops in Europe and North America already have the game since February 22nd and Australia since February 23rd. And now a physical release is planned for the US on the 19th of July. Yet, also just with Taboo Trial, I could only find it at the PlayAsia store so far. It feels like whenever I look for upcoming games during the last year, I often encounter Blasphemous 2 with another release. That might be a bit exaggerated, but it's in the eShops of Europe, North America and Australia since August 24 last year, and on the same day a physical release for Europe and Australia, followed by a physical release on September 15 in North America. I'm certain I've seen the collector's edition available for order here in Europe in a few stores as well, and yet looking at the description, it matches the limited collector's edition that is now being released on July 19 in Europe and North America. It's a big box filled with the game, a steelbook, an instruction manual, the soundtrack on 2 CDs, a game guide, a metal coin, an art card set, a certificate of authenticity, an art book, a thank you letter, and a collector's CD cover with the download code for the soundtrack. It probably won't be available in many stores, but if I could find it in the US and Canada, surely you will be able to as well. For good measure, I'll put a link in the description to the publisher store Selecta Play, though note they are located in Europe. Everdream Valley, the cute looking farming sandbox game that makes you pick up poop. Cozy gamers may be interested in this one, if they have the time with all their other farming games, and if they haven't bought it already, cause it's been out on the eShops of Europe, North America and Australia since June 23rd, 2023, and the North American release was also already on April 2nd this year. Yet us Europeans and them Australians can get a copy on July 19 as well. Part of the June Nintendo Direct, the new Denpa Men. A franchise that I'm unfamiliar with, can't say I'm attracted to, yet does seem to have a following and is well rated. With the new game coming to the eShop on July 22nd, yet I cannot find it on any eShop as a pre-order. Perhaps that's just a matter of time, and if it is, it's nice to know it's free to play. It's amazing to see the fluent and realistic animation in a pixelated game. I'm talking about Conscript, a survival horror set during World War I. Besides looking stunning, expect the combat to be brutal. It releases on the 23rd of July on the Nintendo eShops of Europe, North America and Australia, and the last two will have the option of buying the digital Deluxe edition, which contains the Trench Raider Pack DLC. There's also a physical Deluxe edition planned for August 27th for Europe and the US, but take that with a grain of salt. I only found one store here that offers it currently, and I think more regions may receive it, so to be continued. From realistic pixels to, well, this. Exophobia is a first-person shooter that claims to have a modern Metroidvania progression. And let's be honest, the graphics look crisp and fun. I've played pixelated first-person shooters before, but that was because it was decades ago. I preferred this pixelated style. Hopefully the game does indeed manage to present engaging gameplay and progression. On July 23rd it's supposed to release on the US eShop, but it's not there yet. I have a hard time believing that's the only region it will release, so keep an eye out for it. A physical release is also planned, again US only, set for August 20th. Yet the only store I found that offers a pre-order is Amazon.com, which claims it releases on July 23rd as well. So enough uncertainty with this release, but at least you somewhat know what to expect and look for. The indie game Terracotta is an action-adventure game set in ancient China, which by itself is a setting you don't see often. It's been out on the eShops of Europe, North America and Australia since May 25th, and now for Europe, physical releases follow by Tessera Games. They come with the Standard Edition and the Collector's Edition, which besides the game contains a booklet, a postcard book, a bird necklace, sticker sheets, the soundtrack on CD and of course the collector's box. Both editions will be released on July 24, and links to them can be found in the description. Another farming game. Harvest Days looks a bit rough around the edges, but hey, if you can get cozy and the game can engage you, those rough edges can be part of its charm. It's set to release on the eShops on July 25th, though none of the eShops show it yet. A physical release should follow for North America and Europe, though dates are all over the place. Amazon.com says August 6, while the publisher is August 29 on their site, and here in Europe I see September 27. So unsure when you can harvest this game. A game made for the fans, or so I read. Piece Odyssey is now coming to the Switch as a deluxe edition. That means the DLCs are included, going by the releases on the other consoles. Unfortunately, Bandai Namco doesn't seem to give much attention to the Switch version. So on July 26, this seems to be the only edition to be released in Europe, North America and Australia. A PS Vita game of 2015 is coming to the Switch. Tokyo Xanadu X Plus is of course made up to date and got extra content. But it's a little bit hard to judge how great this RPG has been made appropriate for the Switch when you don't really get to see gameplay. The screenshots I've seen do look good though, and it was made by the same people as from Legend of Heroes, so I do feel confident. The eShops of Europe, North America and Australia will get this game on July 25th. But there are physical releases. European stores mention July 31st and August 9, while North America is clear about July 25th. There is though an online exclusive edition from publisher SCHiM, which contains a 4 CD set with songs from the game. Links to the different SCHiM stores can be found in the description. Lovers of retro classics can get a great deal with the release of 3 oldtimers into one, Bitmap Bureau Collection. It contains the games Xeno Crisis, Battle Axe and Final Vendetta, so more than enough action packed into this card. No eShop this time, you have to go physical, which gives you 2 options, the standard copy or the deluxe edition, which contains an art book, the soundtrack on CD and 5 postcards. It releases on July 26th in Europe and July 30th in North America. And apparently for North America the deluxe edition is a VGP exclusive, so I'll put a link to that and the product page from the publisher Numskull Games in the description. Mercenaries Lament, Requiem of the Silver Wolf is the latest game in the Mercenaries saga series. This tactical RPG appears to be a decent one, with a beautiful presentation, yet doesn't outclass other games in its genre. It's already available on the eShops of Europe, North America and Australia since April 27, 2023 and now gets a North American physical release on July 30th. Now, I can get into birds, pardon the joke, but still I think Wingspan is for a pretty niche audience. But if you're into it, you're into it. And then you may have already bought it from the eShops where it has been available since late December 2020 in Europe, North America and Australia. But if not, perhaps the upcoming physical release is something you may want to pick up. The special edition contains the base game plus the free DLCs and should become available on July 31st in European stores. Yet you can always look at the Signature Edition store, of which you will find a link in the description. Well, that was a lot of games to cover and I would have liked this video to be out before the month started, regardless of how much work I had to put into it. So here's my commitment to you. Future Nintendo release roundups will be out at least a day before the month starts. Also, to ensure you're warned on time of special editions that may run out, I'll start a new monthly series called Nintendo Pre-Order Updates, which I should post sometime mid-month. And of course, I'll do my best to improve the videos in general. And if you want me to, I could separate the eShop releases in a different release video, highlighting what seems to be the best games arriving that month. Let me know. And now lastly, 2 games that were supposed to release in July, but seem to have gotten delayed. First off, the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. It should be released on July 19th, but now I see it's set for September 20th. The IM 8-bit version can still be pre-ordered though. This is one for the pre-order updates. And there's Ugly. Also originally planned for July 19th, at least in Europe, but now has moved to August 30th. That concludes the video. Thanks a lot for watching and please leave a like and a comment on whether you want an eShop special and basically anything you wish to share with me. Subscribe to not miss out on future videos and I'll make sure you get another one soon.